Hello students, welcome to Showed Sir classes. In today's video, we'll proceed further with ISLM model, and today we'll be looking at government policies and how they affect ISLM curves that we drawn in the last diagram. So before we get into the government policies, first we'll start with the ISLM curves that we drew in the last class. Okay. As you know, on the horizontal axis, we take income. On the horizontal axis, you take income, and on vertical axis, you take interest rate, which is denoted by R, and income is denoted by Y. Now, the IS curve looks like this. It is a negatively sloped curve, as the relationship between Y and R is negative when we talk about the IS curve. Now here we'll write down the IS equation, which is Y equals to C plus I plus G. Now here this is the aggregate supply, or this is income, say, and this is the expenditure part or the aggregate demand part, which is given by C, which is consumption, plus investment plus government expenditure. So Y equals to C plus I plus G. Now C depends on income, I depends on interest rate. So this is how we get the IS equation. Now IS equation eventually states the negative relationship between R and Y. We can write down the slope of IS curve as dr by dy, that is the change in R by change in Y, equals to S dash Y, which is the change in saving due to change in income, and I dash R, which is change in investment due to change in interest rate, which is negative, as this denominator term is negative and this is positive. As I have already talked about this, when interest rate increases, the investment falls, so the denominator becomes negative, and when income increases, the saving is likely to increase, so the numerator terms becomes positive. So the entire terms become less than 0. Now this is the reason why we have got IS curve to be a negatively sloped curve. Now we'll talk about LM curve. LM curve is a positively sloped curve. We denote it by LM, and the equation for LM curve is MS, which is money supply. LM curve gives the equilibrium in money market, and IS curve gives the equilibrium in goods market. So money supply equals to L1Y. This is the transaction demand for money, the money that you demand for transaction purposes, that everyday transaction purposes, and also for precautionary purposes. Precautionary purpose involves savings, and plus you demand money for speculative demand for money, which is L2R, which depends on interest rate. Speculative demand for money depends on interest rate, and the relationship between interest rate and speculative demand for money is always negative. That is, when R increases, say interest rate increases, you should know the relationship between interest and bond price is always negative. So when interest rate increases, the bond price is likely to fall. So when bond price falls, so what happens? The people, those who are willing to buy the bond price are not likely to buy it, cause the bond price is the advantage that they will get by buying. So that is the return for the risk they take by buying the bond price. So if the bond price falls, so now the people will hold on to money rather than buying the bond. So when R increases, the speculative demand for money falls. And also here, so this is the LM curve, this is the IS curve. Now if you write down the slope of LM curve, it will be dr by dy equals to minus now, as you know, the relationship between R and L2, which is speculative demand for money, is always negative, and the relationship between transaction demand and income is always positive. So this entire terms becomes positive, but as there is a negative sign here, this entire terms becomes positive as there is a negative term here, you see, minus, and the relationship is negative, so negative becomes positive. So the entire terms becomes positive, and we get the LM curve to be a positively sloped curve, stating the relationship between Y and R is always positive. Now when LM curve and IS curve intersect with each other, we have found the general equilibrium level of income and interest rate. So this is the general equilibrium level of income and interest rate. So this all I talked about all of them in the previous video. So for greater details you can refer to the previous video. For the time being, now we'll start discussing about different policies taken by government like fiscal policy and monetary policy and how they affect the IS and LM curve. In the previous video I also talked about contractionary fiscal policy, contractionary monetary policy, expansionary fiscal policy, expansionary monetary policy, but I did not explain them in details. Now today, in today's lecture, we'll get into these four aspects of government policies and we'll discuss how they affect the slope of IS and LM curve and how they affect the shift in IS and LM curve and what is the corresponding income and interest rate we get with such policies. So for that, first what we'll do is we'll start with So in this video, we'll start with expansionary fiscal policy. Now we already know fiscal policy is what? Fiscal policy is the change in government expenditure or change in taxes. If there is change in government expenditure, say there is increase in government expenditure, we call it expansionary fiscal policy. If there is decrease in government expenditure, we call it contractionary fiscal policy. If there is increase in money supply, we call it expansionary monetary policy. If there is decrease in money supply, we call it contractionary monetary policy. Now today, we'll just focus on increasing government supply, increasing government expenditure or decreasing tax, because this is beneficial for the expenditure perspective. Like say, for the IS curve, the equation is y equals to C plus I plus G. Now you see, as G increases, this entire term increases. So we say there is a shift in IS curve to the rightwards. There is a rightward shift of IS curve. Similarly, when G decreases, which will be the case in our next discussion, then the opposite thing happens, that is the converse takes place. So now today we'll just talk about the increase in G or decrease in T. So expansionary fiscal policy basically state either increasing G or decreasing T. So we'll just restrict ourselves to increasing G in this discussion. What happens when G increases? Here we make the assumption that LM curve doesn't shift. LM curve remains at its own position. LM curve is a positively sloped curve. Here LM curve does not shift. And this is IS curve, and the IS curve equation, as you know, is y equals to C plus I plus G. C plus I plus G. Now when G increases, the IS curve increases, so it shifts rightward. From IS1 it comes to IS2. Now here in this diagram you have to remember one thing, that is R does not change automatically when IS curve shifts to the rightward. That is, say when IS curve shifts to rightward, then what happens? The income initially increases. When IS curve increases, or say due to increasing G, the income increases, as you can see, from Y0 to Y1. The change is this. It is shown by this arrow. That is, the increase in Y is Y0, Y1. So the equilibrium is from E0 to E1. Now as income increases, what happens? Now people will demand more money for transaction purpose. If you know the LM curve equation, even though the LM curve is like unchanged, then also the LM curve equation is money supply equals to L1Y plus L2R. Now when income increases, this entire terms increases, as the relationship between income and transaction demand is always positive. So, and we also know the money supply is constant. So if it increases, then it has to fall. This term will only fall when R increases, as the relation between speculative demand for money and interest rate is always positive. So when R increases, this term falls. So we can see that when income increases, the rate of interest increases, but it does not take place, in a short run period. In short run, interest rate is like this. When income, IS curve shifts rightward, income increases to this side, but due to the existence of speculative demand, as money has another role here, that is speculative demand in case of ISLM model, because of this reason the interest rate goes up from R0 to R1, and we come to this equilibrium level of output and interest rate. So this is the equilibrium, new equilibrium. So first the equilibrium is this E0. There, due to change in IS, the equilibrium is reached here at E1. Then from here, due to increase in R caused by increase in Y, it has come to this side. That is, the equilibrium is E-1 or E1 dash. So according to this, the new income level is Y1 hat and new interest level is R1. Now as you can see it here in the diagram, initially the income increased from Y0 to Y1, this level, this entire level. Then due to existence of speculative demand part, the income goes down from this level to this level. So the income actually decreases from this to this, and it reached this equilibrium level. So basically income falls. So this amount that you see here, due to presence of speculative demand, we call this crowding out. This is known as crowding out. Why crowding out is taking place? Because of the presence of this term, this R. This is the presence of speculative demand part. So while discussing expansionary fiscal policy, the first thing you have to remember, the fiscal policy part is that either G or T changes. Expansionary fiscal policy means which expands the output. That is, when you increase the G or decrease the T, the output eventually increases. The IS curve shifts rightward. So due to increasing G, the IS curve shifts rightward. So due to that, the income increases at a higher level, at Y1 level. Then due to the presence of speculative demand part in the LM curve, which was not present in case of classical model or in case of simple Keynesian model, due to presence of this part, the R increases, so the income reduces from its expanded level to Y1. So this reduction of income due to presence of R is known as crowding out. This is known as crowding out, and so far this is what we have in expansionary fiscal policy. Thank you for watching today's video, and I am giving you the phone number so that if you have any query, doubts or suggestion, please WhatsApp me on this number 9836 793076. I'm again repeating 9836 793076. 9836 793076. And if you have any other queries, or if you want to see other videos relating to macroeconomics or economics, or if you need any further details, we have a website. You can check our website. We call it www.showrupsarclasses.com. If you have any query, you can WhatsApp me on this number. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you for watching this video, and in the next video we'll talk about contractionary fiscal policy. Thank you.